Started. First, I need a motion to approve the minutes from the June 23rd meeting. Oh, in 1 minute. Oh, and Betty. Okay. Pause.
Hello?
Hey, Betty.
Okay, hello.
Hi, Betty. Okay, first I need to get a motion to allow Betty to join via telephone. First by member Blair, second by member Ricker. Go ahead and vote when it shows up. There we go. Welcome, member Duncan.
All right, thank you.
You're welcome. All right, next we're going to move on to the approval of the minutes of the June 23rd meeting. So can I get a motion to put that on the floor, please? Member Phelan, second by member Coates. Any additions, subtractions, or changes? Okay, please vote.
Aye.
Thank you, member Duncan. All right, and that's unanimous. Thank you. We will jump right into informational items. First, we have the Board of Health. I don't see Monica here. Okay. Next, we'll go to the Care and Treatment Board. Welcome back. I don't know if your mic's on. Is that better? Perfect. Thank you.
Thank you, Todd Baker, current chair of the Peoria County Care and Treatment Board, who provides services for persons with developmental disabilities. My fellow board members, Alyssa Newmister, Cliff Lane, Will Hayes, Mary Hamlin. In our meeting in May, we heard presentations for grant requests from EPIC, Community Workshop and Training Center, Best Buddies, HISRA, part of the Peoria Park District, Easter Seals and Camp Big Sky, as well as Goodwill. There was a motion and a second to approve the following funding levels for these agencies. Best Buddies at $55,000, Camp Big Sky at $30,000, CWTC Adult Day Treatment Program at $52,000, CWTC Job Readiness Program at $220,000, Easter Seals of Central Illinois at $5,000, EPIC Job Placement at $222,000, EPIC Community Connections at $222,000, HISRA at $87,000 for a total of $893,000. This is a bit lower than it has been in years past. Part of that is with the PPRT kind of, I don't want to say adjustment, but the PPRT tax is probably normalized now, and in years past it had been a little stronger. So this has allowed us to get our fund balance back in order. And I know this is probably all in your minutes, but we're happy to do that. That was all, minutes were all approved at the July meeting. I thank Administrator Sorrell for his support of his team, and Member Kelch, who comes to our meetings and participates, and so that's nice to have. So that's really the extent of my report. I'm happy to answer any questions for anyone if anybody's got any.
Any questions? I did review the minutes, and I appreciate the effort that everybody went through and it looks like there was maybe a difficult decision that was made, and I appreciate the fact that you were looking out for the taxpayers' money and asking for additional information from that organization. So thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, next we have EMA. Nope. Regional Office of Education. I almost jumped over you just because you were standing up.
Right. Okay, we don't really have a huge update for you, but we did do some reorganizing in our office as far as some of our administrative level staff. And so I want to take the time to introduce Marcia Lau. Marcia is a former Peoria Public Schools teacher, also principal at Hines Elementary for the past 3 years. 3 years has been in the professional learning office. And so when we decided to do a little bit of a shuffling around, she expressed some interest in being the assistant, and she's doing a fantastic job for us. And so I wanted to update the committee on that. And then this is a little bit of a slow time for us. It's busy administratively in a lot of ways, but pretty slow, so we don't have an update other than introduction of staff, but happy to take any questions that you might have.
Any questions? No? Go bees, right? Hines?
That's right, Hines.
I had bees. All right, next we have sustainability.
Good afternoon. I have a few quick updates to what was already provided in the brief, or highlight things I want to highlight. The hazardous waste collection events. We have 3 of those scheduled, as you may know. We're having some calls about them, not as many as we might have anticipated, but keeping in mind we did 4 last year, and paint was over 60% of what was collected, and now there's producer responsibility. We are continuing to promote that. I did bring some flyers for them and also place them out there if you'd like to hand them out, or if you'd like to post them on your social media. I'm happy to send them to you directly so that you have that available to you. Paint, we've continued to add more locations with Paint Care. Born Paint used to be a collection site a number of years ago and is also a collection site again. And then happy to also mention that EB Building and Lumber in Princeville. So we're outside of the city with a collection site. So I'm happy to say that they're also on board now. Recycle Coach, in terms of education and community, we're still continuing to increase the engagement as well as the impression, so people just kind of popping on it, but actually engaging with it has continued to increase. We're up, 500-ish impressions from interactions from last month. The landfill committee did not meet yet. We'll meet at some point soon. I think the next one scheduled is October 14th. Member Renault and Member Williams and I, along with Rachel Sabella, who is staff in SRC in the SRC department, were able to tour the transfer station a few weeks ago, and that was great to see that firsthand, how quickly and efficiently trash can be managed. It did smell on that very hot morning for sure, right? It's definitely. It did not seem to affect them at all. So a little bit different than viewing the landfill, because you really are up close and personal with that trash. So we experienced that. Eric Changra and Bill Lewis are both here. Matt Poulter was unable to attend and is still planning to attend. Is unable in August and September to attend, so now we're looking at October. So he will come and give sort of an overall global perspective of how the transfer station is going, any questions that you may have about Landfill 3. But Bill Lewis is the Director of Operations, got that right? And Eric Changra is Government Contracts Manager for GFL. If there are any specific questions that you might have, that I think that Eric said that they would be happy to answer those today. But you can be looking forward to a more global presentation in October. So if there's any questions along the way, I'm happy to answer those too as I can. So you don't have to wait till October for sure. But he will be here to stand for questions and provide a bit more of an update. Of course, the transfer station opened in June. We don't have the exact tonnage for the transfer station for June yet, but it was estimated at around 12,000 tons. We should have that information any day, but we haven't received a check yet to that amount. In terms of sustainability, I'll move to that section. The sustainability team has not met, but I have mentioned a couple times that dashboard and that story map on the coroner's move into HHS building, what that looks like from an energy perspective. So I think Scott's going to be able to pull that up for you really quickly. I sent him the link. Sorry, I didn't. He's looking at me like, oops. So if you haven't had a chance to look at it, this is kind of what we're looking at. We have overall usage for electric. I have to look somewhere else because I'm blind. Okay. We have overall usage by building, and then users can click on a building in the right-hand side. So we could look at the jail, and you can see what the trend looks like for the jail. In 2020, kilowatt hours were 1.7 million for the jail, and then we've stayed pretty close to that 1.5. So although from 21 through 24, 25 you see a slight increase, and of course 26 is not fully populated, which is why it's so low. And we can attribute some of that usage now that we have it displayed in a more visual way. We can start to attribute projects to that. I do want to say it continues to be a work in progress as we see other ways that users might be looking at it and that we could inform a little differently. So you see that it says January through December across the bottom now. Previously we had 1 through 12. So some of those updates just make it a little bit more intuitive for users. We're going to hop over. Of course, we have gas, solar, and water at the bottom. We're going to look at gas for the courthouse, and that is continuing to trend down, slow trend, but continuing to trend down. And we can attribute that to some of the projects that have occurred in a visual representation to the side of what that looks like on an annual basis. Again, to just be a little bit more transparent for residents as well as for you if you have specific questions about what that might look like and what our overall savings was from projects. We can start to attribute that a bit better than we have. Looking at water overall, not a ton to see there. However, you can see that the jail is overall the largest user. And if we click on the jail for the select building underwater, their trend is that they are staying pretty consistent. Slight drop in 25. I hope you're going to see that and my notes are right. Yeah. So there were some efficient faucets that were put in. It's very hard to use water efficiency measures in a correctional facility. You need to maintain good, I've been told, you need to maintain a lot of water flow. So some efficient water faucets were put in place at the jail. The next thing that I wanted to highlight that I'm not sure I've highlighted well is solar. So you're going to see that looks like a lot of solar that we've done with just highway and the jail. And I think I've mentioned it, but I think it's good to see those actual numbers overall, that we do have off-site solar. So as you know, the county has participated in an aggregation program for a number of years. I believe 2008 was the first year of that aggregation program, and it's gone through a couple different phases and a couple different contracts. Well, currently that aggregation contract is a solar subscription. So we have offsite generation. We have 2 different projects. The first one came online with our January bills. So previously we were paying a company called Calpine. Now we're paying a company called Ampion, which is the solar provider. So you can see the amount that was generated. We have that broken down by building, but also the overall number that is generated there. And then we can compare that to one of the metrics that we put in that new sustainability and energy plan that I brought to you a few months ago, where we can see how much we can use the generation versus our actual use and see what percentage we're at. And as we start to, bring our usage down or generation increases because we add other arrays, what that might look like. So I just wanted to highlight that and know that number will increase as the second project went online in June. We haven't received any of that usage information or generation information yet, but we should be receiving that hopefully August 1 will be the date that we'll start to receive that. So that's the information that I had on the dashboard. I wanted to quickly just show you that story map that I've referenced a number of times. When Scott clicks over to that, and again, we did a story map based on the coroner's office when it was on Gift or Seneca, and then in HHS, of course, there's going to be an issue. It's just an ArcGIS thing. So if that is an issue that is occurring, that's something we need to make sure that we address for residents to be able to use it more easily, because it opens immediately for me, right? Because I'm logged in all the time. I think if you go to Story Map Home, you should be able to get in. Nope. I lied. Okay, well, that's a problem. That's a big problem. We'll figure that out with Josh. But if anybody's using GIS already and is using the county's GIS, you should be able to see it. I don't know if maybe it's the computer or should be Scott. I don't know. Scott's login. I know Scott uses it, so it shouldn't be. Either way, that story map, we'll make that available today. I'm very sorry about this. It shows the energy use intensity from Gift Avenue based on the last 5 years of energy usage, water usage, etc. And that was that energy use intensity was almost 79 BTUs per square foot, and now it is 85.5 BTUs per square foot, which is a higher energy use intensity. But what that story map shows is the expanded services and also the fact that less energy is used in a smaller footprint, which is why that energy use intensity is higher. Keeping in mind, Gift Avenue also was 100% electric, so that's why we convert to the BTUs, the British thermal units per square foot, is so that we're using not only electric, but we're comparing electric to electric isn't necessarily fair. So that's why we do that energy use intensity to look at the gas, the water, and the electric in that space. So that is reflected on the story map, and I'm sorry that it did not open for you, and I'm quite embarrassed by that. But if you have questions, I'm happy to answer those now.
Member Ricker.
Yeah. I'll look for the Gift one later online, but you kind of bring up a topic on the facilities plan that Ms. Woods put together. It talked about Gift Avenue is still using, $35,000 a year in energy costs because we're storing documents there. And the comments, if I remember right, were that once those documents are removed and such, we can adjust that and lower that energy cost, which would be a good thing. I guess I'd just like to highlight that, kind of use that as an urgency to help move those documents and find a new home. I don't know if you have any other comments. Maybe your story map kind of aligned with that.
That is certainly something we could expand upon with the story map. When those documents are removed, that's something that our department is paying for as Melissa works through that, and there's been a great amount that have been removed from a number of facilities this year. State's Attorney's Office has removed a lot. But I can report the tonnage to you, or the cubic feet either way, of how many have been destroyed in the last year. And then also it kind of lines up with really what it looked like with Bellwood before Bellwood was torn down. We had that too, where it's funny to see how much energy is being used without warm bodies in the space. Yes, I know Melissa's working hard at that. That's something we can report on.
Thank you. Any other questions? Yes, Mr. Phelan.
I actually have two questions. The first one is, if we're still paying utilities at Gift, and I would imagine Hannah City has some operational expenses related to utilities, is there a reason those are not part of the dashboard?
There's not. I mean, we can populate the Gift Avenue information. We definitely can do that. There wasn't really a reason to leave them off, other than knowing going forward we would need it when we started the dashboard. But we certainly can populate that.
I just think, to like Steve's point, that when we look at an ongoing expense for a facility we're not using, that could be really motivating to continue to have conversations, and just a gentle reminder to us that it's still costing us money and the taxpayers money every day that we have that facility.
I will include that. It can be up by today.
It certainly doesn't have to be, but I appreciate that. And then,
It's really exactly.
my other question is, I know through the construction phase of the HHS campus, solar was value engineered out. So, sort of a larger question, and maybe for a different committee, but what is the plan for the future of that facility to ensure that we see a cost reduction in utilities there?
Take it? Okay. We are looking, we have not started at the beginning to.
Becca, could you speak into the microphone,
Oh,
please?
We are looking into solar because the roof is ready for solar at that location, and that is one of the places that is receiving off-site solar generation. But to your point, if we're generating our own, much less expensive. So that is in my plan of work for 2026 to start to get some quotes for moving forward with solar at that location.
Thank you. And I actually have one more.
That's three.
Would it be appropriate to hear from the representatives from GFL in regards to the transfer station? I know that was mentioned earlier in the informational item.
Yeah, make sure nobody has any other questions for Becca. Then we would love to welcome our guests. Somebody have any other questions for Becca? Oh, yes, member Alsasser.
Do you have any photos from the transfer station? I need to drive out there and look at it again.
I do have a few, but I'm guessing the GFL folks probably better than my photography skills, but I'm happy to send what I have.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because one of my constituents back in April and May was just called me, and he was just all worked up about which route they were going to take. You know, he had 4 different routes that he thought they might take, and so Scott found out from Matt Calder which one it was, and he was very pleased at the one you're using because it's the closest and most efficient. But how many loads a day do you guys do there? Do you have any idea?
Sure, come on up.
And there's going to be an open house. Is it October 4th?
Okay.
I believe that I got an invitation today for a ribbon cutting on October 4th. So they're going to invite the public out there to take a view and see the whole operation. Bill can tell you what kind of volume we're seeing, at least at this point.
Yeah, we're looking roughly around 550 tons a day is what we're taking in here. We have spikes where it goes up a little more than that. Right now, it's averaging around 550 a day. I don't have the amount of loads I have information with me, but I could certainly get that.
No, that's all right. So I'm a farmer, so like 20 ton per loader, 15 ton. I can figure that out.
Yeah.
So.
Yep.
And there's been some consternation in the city of Peoria because we have done some rerouting because the garbage truck doesn't have to drive down to Hoopdale and back. We've reduced the amount of trucks that we're using to pick up the city. We've changed some routes. So some folks are getting picked up at a different time, or there's a different driver picking up a neighborhood, and there's always kinks when we have changes like that because the same guy that's been doing it for many months or weeks, now somebody's different doing it. There's every neighborhood has a little hidden house or some trash set out. So we're working through that. I think we've got most of that worked out, but that we did get an uptick in those kind of complaints starting in mid-June when this all changed.
From the local residents where you drive by, you mean?
Just throughout the city, because we changed how we're picking up the city of Peoria. Just because they can pick up more homes on truck in their day because they don't have to spend the 2-hour round trip down.
Yeah, but the loaded trucks that they're going south. Have you had any complaints from the people on that route yet? Or I'm hoping you don't. That's good. That's a good thing. Yeah.
All right, I'm going to jump over to member Phelan. Go ahead.
You called me before I raised my hand.
You didn't get to ask her a question before.
I didn't really have any specific questions. I just wondered if you guys had any additional information that you're willing to share. But one thing you talk about is the route changes and that generating some complaints. I personally have seen some of those on social media directly related to the district that I represent, which is Peoria Heights and part of the East Bluff. What is the best way for someone to vocalize that complaint? Do they call just the front desk, or how do they go about, specifically in regards to Peoria Heights, where they act on behalf of the citizens.
If they have concerns about service in Peoria Heights, we would prefer you call our customer service number 681-3364, and there'll be an option out there to push numbers for if you're a residential customer. We'd like you to do. We do hear directly from the city of Peoria Heights and Village of Peoria Heights when we do have issues. So I know the residents are in contact with Village Hall as well.
Thank you.
Member Williams.
Thank you. One of the things that we did talk about when we were out there, and I think we mentioned it to the two that gave us the tour, is that the signage for the recycling is kind of hard to see. So if that could be, I didn't even see it when I came up.
I think it's down at the front gate. Down at the front gate as you first come in.
It's right. I believe we're working on
Yeah.
getting some signage there for the site.
Okay.
Any other questions? Well, thank you both for coming today. I'm going to have a lot of questions for you in October.
Okay.
So I'm just not really prepared today to address them all. So
Okay.
thanks for coming.
Thank you. We'll be back in October.
All right. Okay, next we have the Center for Prevention of Abuse. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. It's good to be back. And I think everyone should have a copy of our benchmark report. Did that come through this month on your agenda?
It's in our packets.
That's good. That's good. I'm glad you received it. Those benchmark totals show what our 6 ombudsmen that are working in the field were able to accomplish in Peoria Heights. That word ombudsman, I don't always mention it, but that means advocate. We advocate for our residents that are in nursing homes, that are in assisted living, supported living, that are in developmentally disabled homes, and also in specialized mental health facilities. The only one of those that we have in our region is in Peoria. I have with me today 2 of my employees, Melissa Modulin. Melissa, raise your hand, is with us. She has several facilities that she oversees within the county of Peoria. And there on the end there is Angela Harris. Angie, raise your hand up. Angie is our dedicated Peoria County Ombudsman that our agreement has helped fund. And Angie has held that job since the beginning of this agreement. And both of these ladies do a tremendous job going in and out of the nursing homes and all of the other centers to try to help this group of our clients that really have no one else to represent them. As you might notice on the benchmark sheets, those numbers are down in some areas for the month, in some areas they're up. The main reason is because we were understaffed throughout that quarter. I'm happy to say that we had 2 new ombudsmen that were certified, and they're both investigating cases themselves. As a matter of fact, my newest employee just finished his first case and was able to close it, so we'll be excited. And another reason those numbers are down, I was involved in a nursing home myself in a very severe injury. I was recertifying one of my staff members. And if you've ever went to a nursing home, one of the things that you will notice is sometimes they're not the cleanest places in the world, both in appearance and in smell. And I went into that facility. You've all seen me with my little friend that I push around. I have multiple sclerosis and have had that most all of my adult life. And I made the decision not to take my scooter in with me because that particular home had just been written up the week before I'll just, for sake of propriety, we'll say it had been written up for having some nastiness all over the floors. And I didn't want to get my scooter all messed up. So instead, I fell and got myself all messed up and broke my nose and got a concussion and broke a number of ribs, broke my shoulder and my arm. And that's another reason a lot of these numbers are down. And those will be coming back up again, good Lord willing, shortly. I want to close. I always like giving you some success stories. We had a resident that spoke with one of our ombudsmen about getting her Social Security approved so that she could have some income. Most of our residents in a long-term care facility only keep $60 a month. You try living on that to buy personal needs, shampoo and personal care items, maybe a soda pop every now and then. And this resident was not receiving anything because of lack of work hours earlier in her life. And the facility was not willing to help. And she approached one of our ladies in this facility who was able to go and talk to the social services people and ask them why they were not willing to help this resident. Well, they got on the ball and they were able to appeal for Social Security, and she was actually approved for a moderate amount of Social Security, but she qualified for SSI as well. And this lady is now enjoying that $60 that she had done without for over 2 years. All thanks to these examples are all in a Peoria County facility. We had a resident who was seated crooked in a mobile scooter during a council meeting, and our ombudsman asked the resident if this resident was comfortable, and the resident stated no, he wasn't comfortable. He hadn't been comfortable. The staff wouldn't help him out. And our ombudsman was able to speak to the staff, and they helped reposition him. And not only were they able to help reposition him, they were able to make application for a brand new scooter for this guy. He was a veteran and he was due the benefit, but the staff didn't think it was important enough for them to work with. And these ladies and my other staff are able to help take care of that. And it's all because of our cooperative agreement. These are helping our citizens. We had another resident that called and complained that she was losing weight because the staff were not giving her nutritional shakes to help keep her weight up. And the staff refused to do that, even though she had a doctor's prescription for that. And our ombudsman got involved in that and got those shakes for her. And also, this woman had complained and wanted to go to a different nursing home where she felt like she would get better care, which is her right. And the facility wasn't interested in that. Well, long story short, one of these two ladies got involved, and this lady not only got her nutritional shakes, she was able to transfer, and within 1 calendar month had put on 19 pounds. Now, for some of us, that might not be such a good thing. But for others, many of our clients, it soon becomes a matter of life and death. I could go on and on with a lot of things. Some of these are big. Some of these are, you might think, are little. But to our clients, many of them who have no families to help them, they're kind of the most overlooked clientele within our demographics. This work makes a tremendous difference. And once again, I thank you for your foresight in allowing us to continue that job here in the county. Is there any questions?
Somebody have any questions? I'm glad to see you're doing better.
Oh, thank
after
you
your
very
fall.
much.
I don't know if I would be sitting there if I went through all of that.
Oh, my soul. It happened just, I think, a day or so after my last presentation here.
Well,
It's just unbelievable.
we'll be careful.
Oh, thank you. It's always good to come. Thank you.
Okay, next we have our strategic plan update.
Hi, everyone. In front of you, you have the Q2 update of the 2026 action agenda for the strategic plan. There is one item on the action agenda that reports up to this committee. That's to number 27, implement the social determinants of health accelerator plan. Monica updated this for us. I can try to ask any questions that you may have, answer any questions that you might ask, but otherwise we'll have to defer to her, and I believe she's at least out today. So happy to answer any questions.
Any questions? Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, we just had a resolution on that strategic item 2 months ago, from last month. They're all running together, but yeah. All right, next we're on to the resolution. It's a resolution to transfer within the Regional Office of Education's FY26 budget. Could I get a motion to put that on the floor, please? Member Blair, and a second by Member Phelan. Would you like to give us a little summary on what's going on?
So before you use the resolution, I think it's one of the first ones we've done in a very long time in our office. And we have an employee who is out on FMLA who runs our payroll. Jennifer will, out of our office, will be taking over those payroll duties while she's gone. Our fiscal year also ends at the end of June. And now we're in also preparation for our yearly audit. And so it's going to require some overtime. The reason that we had to do a resolution and move some money from contractual to personnel is because typically we've got a little bit of extra money in there, but we also had 2 positions go through the Hay Committee this year, which resulted in increases. And so we took the money that sometimes we would have to be able to pay for overtime and used it to offset those increases in salary. And so that's why we have a resolution in front of you today.
Any questions? Okay, thank you. All right, please vote.
Aye.
Thank you, Member Duncan. That passed unanimously. Thank you. Turn the page. Okay, next, do we have any discussion items? We do not. Any public comment? Did I miss one? Oh, it's at the bottom. Yeah, okay. We'll jump back to committee action, which is the review of executive session minutes. Can I get a motion to put this on the floor? Member Ricker and Member Elsasser. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, it remains the recommendation of the state's attorney's office that all previously held minutes continue to be held because the need for confidentiality still exists, and to go ahead and destroy executive session audio recordings that are more than 2 years old because, or except for those that relate to pending litigation.
Any questions? Okay, please vote.
Aye.
Thank you, Member Duncan. There we go. That's unanimous. I'm going to go back. Do we have anything for discussion? Do we have anything to bring up for discussion? Public comment? Anything from miscellaneous? Okay, we're adjourned. Thank you.